Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and I've got a tremendous show for you today. Now, I know I've said that before, but I really mean it this time. Okay. Today we're going to be talking with the bad boys from Wikimotive. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, the head bad boy, the SEO Animal, Tim Martell, can't be with us today. But I've got two of the very best on screen today, starting with Zach Billings. Hello, Zach.
How's it going, Jim?
You ready to rock?
Hell yeah.
And finally, one of my older best friends in the business, Angus Fox. Sort of say Zach Angus. Angus Fox, how you doing, big guy?
Good, buddy. It's been a minute. How are you?
It's been a minute. Well, okay, all through COVID, what has Wikimotive been up to? Zach, I'll address that to you.
Yeah, you bet. So focusing on making sure our dealers are thinking ahead. During the initial COVID wave, a lot of people kind of clammed up, stopped their marketing, and it's the ones that kept going through that and had confidence in where we were going to go in the future who really have thrived on the other end, increasing market share, getting a larger percentage of the business available, whatever that is. If we have more cars, less cars.
Okay, whatever business is available. That's a very key word in our conversation today.
Yeah.
We know we got an inventory shortage, and some dealers are spending like it's yesterday.
Yeah, it's very counterintuitive that I would need to spend the same amount of money to advertise 400 cars or 40 cars, but I haven't heard a lot of vendors recommending, particularly on spend that's in the moment, on reductions. I certainly think that there's value in long-term investment in things like content, SEO, video, but things like pay-per-click or retargeting. If you've already sold 10 of the cars on your truck and you only have 2 more coming, do we need to be spending all the money we were advertising those? Probably not in our experience.
Wait a second. Okay, I'm talking to the bad boys at Wikimotive, and the message I'm hearing is dealers, you don't need to spend as much. Who
Correct.
says that?
Well, I'm not saying you don't need to spend as much. Certainly, you should reallocate your spend maybe into something that's going to be a longer term spend, for sure. We've seen, particularly with pay-per-click recently, there's been a lot of the status quo, even though we're in very unique times. And while it's nice to have the excuse that we may have gotten more leads if inventory was better, we have to kind of live in reality. And so what are you doing in this current situation to help improve our performance or reduce our waste? The stuff that we always talk about. What am I known for?
Wait a minute.
I don't like vendor fraud. I don't like waste.
Wait a minute. Angus, what are you babbling about? Listen here. Everybody knows that it's all PPC. It's all managed by an artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Come on. You guys are rapidly becoming obsolete. AI is taking your place, right?
Well, we still don't do pay-per-click ourselves, but yes, AI, the AI that everybody has that is allegedly running everything, usually is a simple automation. Even Google has machine learning that they have built into ads that doesn't perform as well as it should. There's a lot of incentive to use AI or automation, particularly when you are some of these larger companies who have thousands of dealerships, because pay-per-click truly is difficult to do well at scale, and it's very difficult to pay attention to. AI is one of those things that's a buzzword. Are you actually doing machine learning?
Everybody says they have it.
No such thing.
Yeah.
Wait a second. What do you mean no such thing?
Not in this space anyway. The closest anyone's got to it is Google, and there's no AI in automotive. Anyone saying that at best has an algorithm or some kind of tool that automates something, and they're calling it AI because everyone thinks that means there's some secret sauce and some special intelligence that's going to give them the edge. It's not true.
What about a phone conversation that appears it's having conversation with you?
Well, if it could pass the Turing test, I guess that would be considered technically AI, but I don't think anybody has that. I'd love to be wrong, and if somebody does have actual AI that they can show us in a model, I'd love to talk to them, and everybody should know how to reach us. But it's unfortunately one of those buzzwords, and it's a way to kind of dismiss not putting human eyes on your account. And the reason that I haven't, maybe we made a mistake, was because it was the artificial intelligence or artificial unintelligence, whatever we have running. But AI right now, particularly in automotive, is generally a very large marketing term. Vaporware.
Well, I know for a fact dealers are focused in on their advertising spend. They know exactly where it's going. They know exactly how it's producing. Zach, jump on that a second.
Oh yeah. You talked. I mean, one of the things that we use to start conversations with dealers. I mean, I do sales and performance here, and one of the ways that we start those conversations is let's do an audit of your SEO, of your paid search, and it usually extends into other areas of marketing. I have to ask the questions. What are you spending on different areas of your marketing? And usually, the first answer is, I have no idea. Let me send you an email.
Wait a minute, you're quite a geek, aren't you?
I am.
Okay. Okay. So you're getting into let's audit how effective your pay-per-click really is, your SEO really is, your organic really is.
It's often a much easier ask when you're trying to show somebody what value you can bring if you can reduce their other spend. And we're in a fortunate position that I don't think we've ever done an audit where we haven't been able to find a significant amount of spend that you could save or redirect into something. Dealers, particularly when they're looking at that kind of stuff, there's we're very busy in a dealership, right? Working the desk. I have to worry about where all my salespeople are, what's going on in F&I. If I'm a general manager, I need to worry about what's going on in parts. I need to worry about what's going on in service. So
wait a minute. I've got a dealer or a GM watching this right now. I got the top decision maker in the dealership watching this broadcast, and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars annually advertising. And
yes.
And they haven't got 20 minutes to look at how effective that spend is.
It can be difficult, right? How many times have we done that? Even think back to you when you were selling products, right? Here's the thing that I can show you that will help you sell 100 cars. I understand that, and that's important, but I'm working this deal. Sometimes it's difficult to look past our desk at what the future is, but in this industry, it's an important thing to do that. We're seeing a change. There's dealers who are paying attention, and they tend to rise to the top. And there's dealers who are starting to want to learn how to pay attention. We're really looking for a lot of those dealers because, again, our big mission is to educate the dealership body itself. So we don't have to be the only people or some of the only people in this industry talking about, what is your vendor doing to protect you from fraud? Or how do you know, are we aligned with our vendors to make sure we're accomplishing the same tasks? It's not, it's interesting when we start to do these audits like Zach's talking about, because we start with some very basic questions. And so what's the point of your pay-per-click campaigns? Well, I don't know. Obviously I want more leads. Okay. And then you can talk to the vendor and they say, well, we're working on increasing awareness in the top of the funnel. So, if we're not even aligned on what our goals are, then how are we going to be able to understand if our campaigns are working? What meaningful metrics are we going to discuss if we're not even talking about what the same end result should be? So becoming an informed dealer partner is important. It's important that we have good vendors, but our responsibility does not stop when we stroke that check every month. We need to make sure, are we setting them up for success? How long does it take for them to get our vehicles? Or when do we send over incentives? Or
wait a second. Wait. I've got, and you guys admittedly are vendors. I mean, this is the bad boys from Wikimotive.
Yes, sir.
The SEO Animals. I mean, we're all about search engine optimization, and you are a business.
Yes, sir.
But you're talking in terms that I don't hear every other vendor speaking about. We are interested in our client's success. We measure our client's success. We want to show them their success. Everybody talks about it. I have people whose title is dealer success manager. That's they're on their business. They put that on their business card, but nothing they're doing in reality measures their success. Well, we have attribution. Attribution.
Right.
Remember the movie Jerry Maguire? Show me the money. Well, show me the leads.
What are we measuring for those conversions? What are we attributing?
What are we attributing?
Look at all these VDPs I got from whether it's my paid search or my SEO or my whatever else, and VDPs are not a conversion. That's just an indication that you got someone to come to your site and maybe they were interested. But
wait a minute, wait. Most companies that are selling VDPs don't even get the customer to your site. They get the customer to a picture of a car on your site.
Yes, that's a whole other separate argument about whether, it's crazy in a dealership. If you think about a dealership website, it's basically a giant bucket that we throw conversion tools into, right? So I'm going to spend $2,500 a month on my website, and then I'm going to spend an extra $1,000 on my chat and maybe $1,500 on my digital retailing. And I've got this button and I've got this value your trade tool I'm spending money on. And then we don't even send people there. We let pay-per-click people, we've spent all this money to try to increase our conversions, make sure we've built CRM processes that are tailored to those. So, hey, thanks for filling out our digital retailing tool, or thanks for filling out our value your trade tool. We know how to put those people in our specific pipeline. And then we spend a bunch of money to drop people on a landing page that a pay-per-click provider has. Or I just did an audit this week in for one of our potential clients. 97% of their pay-per-click traffic is dropping them on their homepage.
Wait, on their homepage.
Yeah.
Not on a specific page of the specific vehicle where the real VDP is.
A homepage where you can't read, you're not going to be able to retarget effectively. It's very difficult to have true attribution for whether there's just a lot of, the entire ad ops world has always been a little duplicitous, right? If Google were to tomorrow press a button and duplicit. Yeah. Hey, you said we were geeks. That's not a bad word in the Wikimotive office. Google, if they were able to clean up all their ad fraud instantly, the revenue would drop precipitously. There's a tremendous amount of fraud.
Slow down. If Google were to document all their ad fraud,
yeah, so these are very common. What we're talking about at Wikimotive is something that's not at all a secret.
Wait a minute,
in the ad ops world, but in automotive.
Angus Fox, slow down. Are you implying that there are vendors who actually use ad fraud?
It doesn't have to be not only will I imply it, I could show you receipts later, but yes, but it doesn't even have to be a vendor. For example, I could come up with 20 automotive websites myself, place ads on them that would be for your client, for example, particularly as Google is going to change from cookie-based advertising. We're going to have to go to, away from third-party cookie data. We're going to have to rely on things like term-based or context-based advertising more. So we're in this very interesting time where looking at how people calculate, let's just say, their income based on how they're getting paid. If I'm taking a percentage of your spend, if I were to filter out 30 or 40% of your traffic, now for the same amount of money I'm charging you, I have to put an extra 10 hours in to figure out where's that extra money going to get spent. How can I refine that? A lot of pay-per-click and a lot of marketing in general, unfortunately, people have this set it and forget it attitude, and that's not going to cut it in the future. We're seeing a contraction. This one thing that's going to happen, and it started to happen with this inventory situation, is we're seeing a lot of smaller dealerships start to get swallowed by larger dealerships, right? Big bank take little bank. It's a tale as old as time. Exactly. Well, we're going to start to see those people being able to start having larger first party data for marketing and things like that. So there's going to be an asymmetry in how this data is going to be used. If you're one of the people who thousands of dealerships who just signs up with somebody because you don't want to waste your co-op and you don't want your tier one rep to be mad at you because rather than waste $6,500 on advertising and just letting you expire, you want to waste their $13,000 total, $6,500 of your money and $6,500 of your money anyway, or it should have been. We have to change the way that we look at this kind of advertising, right? Every time I have a meeting, I'm asking certain questions. What have you done to reduce my cost per click? What have you done to increase my ad relevance? Right? There's certain things that we know control the price.
Okay, who are you saying that to?
So we say this to vendors, and this is one of the things that we do at Wikimotive. We sit in on vendor meetings, and we also educate dealers. Right now, I know that there was just
you sit in on vendor meetings. Back up a second. I mean, you're going a little faster than I'm a high school graduate now. Let's slow it up a bit here.
So sure.
What vendor meetings?
So it depends on how you're partnered with us, for sure, but any one that you want, really. Particularly when we're first onboarding a client, we try to understand what your total advertising is. We don't operate in a vacuum, and we understand that we're not your only vendor. So it's important to know, what is your pay-per-click producer actually producing for you, for a few reasons. One, we want to make sure that either our strategy abuts that or fills in the gaps where maybe that isn't. We want to evaluate how much of their spend is going to things like your name or terms that you're already showing up for on your Google My Business or in Google Maps or in your Search Console. So there's a lot of different technical elements to check, and it can be
most dealers own their ad account anyway.
So there are some who do own their ad account and some who don't. We've really been pushing.
Wait, no. It couldn't possibly be. I mean, dealers are pretty savvy business people. If they don't own their own ad account, who would possibly own it?
Yeah, who indeed. So that's one of the things that we struggle with a lot in automotive, right? We play a lot of vendor ping pong where I'm at dealer.com this week, and then I'm going to go somewhere else next week, and now I'm with Launch, and then unfortunately or fortunately we got rid of our sales manager, and his cousin does pay-per-click, so he's going to come in. So a lot of times it's tough to get historical data like that, particularly if you're not diligent about doing things like connecting your Google ads to your Google Analytics accounts, protecting or your vendors' Google ads to your analytics accounts, making sure they connect those to your Search Console. If you connect to your Google ads in your Search Console account, you can look at a report that's called the Paid and Organic Report.
Wait a second. Analytics and when a vendor says to me attribution,
yeah,
I got your attribution right here.
That's often how it feels, right? When you're asking them how many leads did I get, and they basically tell you, I got your attribution right here. But that's one of the things that we're not scared of. There's been a few initiatives inside automotive to try to standardize events and do those things. It can be difficult to do. We've had a lot of good partners in our efforts to do this. We've worked really well in the past with Dealer Inspire, and they've got a good suite. We have our own plugin that we use that has optimized conversion information in that and events and things like that.
All vendors have their own dashboard.
Yes. Why wouldn't you, right?
That is such a good thing for the dealers that these vendors have their dashboard. Let me get Zach in on this one here.
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't mind.
Wait, not at all. I mean, the vendor comes in with a customized dashboard. What's wrong with that?
So in fairness, I was actually going to defend that for a moment before I tear it apart.
Okay.
If a vendor comes in and they've got a sweet dashboard that's got actual KPIs, actual things that we want to know led to a lead, to a sale.
What is a KPI?
Key performance indicator, something that really tells us that the objective of our marketing was accomplished. A VDP view is not a KPI. That is a measurement. That's an event. It's something that happened in the journey of the customer on your website, through your website, from your marketing. A lead is a KPI. A click to call. You click on the phone number and you actually got on your cell phone and you called. That's a KPI. If you're just measuring things that took place in the flow to those, that shouldn't be part of the primary measurement.
Okay, so a click is not a sale.
Not on its own. And so, we do SEO and we want to get more clicks to your website, but it doesn't end there. We need to be measuring more. And the right place
That's
to do
just
that
a stopping point on the journey.
That's right.
You're halfway to St. Louis.
Right.
And like we talked about earlier, Jim, your KPIs will be different depending on what your intent is. It may be that I'm doing a branding campaign because I've done everything else so well. I know I'm getting all the leads I want, and now I'm ready to go into a new area or something like that. So maybe I do care about things like impressions and clicks.
One thing you people don't understand, one thing you don't get. Dealers can sell every damn car they can get a hold of. What do they need to? They don't need to sell more cars. You know, you can stuff a dealer with leads, and they're not going to sell any more than the 10 they got on their lot.
Well, that's certainly true right now, and that's a fantastic point, right? And one of the things that we were talking about a little before the broadcast, and that has been shocking right along, is that there's been a consistent messaging that it's important to spend and maintain your current spend, even though there is no inventory or there's very scarce inventory or inventory that we've already sold. And that's one of the things that you want to look at, like when you're in a partner. You know, I want my business to do well, but I want my business to do well in conjunction with your business. So it's not good if it's just beneficial for me. Our business is a little bit different in that, because we're not trying to set you up necessarily for tomorrow. We have some products that do that, and we have ramped back spend in certain places for people, or adjusted with inventory for that kind of thing. But you know, you need to look at what you're doing and what you're investing in now. Is the money I'm spending on advertising something that's designed to be transactional today when I have inventory? And right now, I mean, you could probably have a truck roll over on the way to your dealership and still sell half those cars when they got there. And hold all the gross. But these are the times, you know, when things are good, now's the time it's important to focus in and say, like, that's great that grosses are records. You know, grosses are 2.2 times what they've ever been. But should they be 3 times? Or should they be 3.5 times?
Well, who is the best SEO company out there?
I mean, it's pretty clear if you search for the terms in automotive SEO, who's at the top, right? It's us. There's people who do automotive SEO and spend a lot of money in pay-per-click trying to get automotive SEO leads, but we don't do that for a reason. And SEO, you know, there's some good SEO companies out there, but again, part of being a good SEO partner, you have to be communicative. The dealership has a certain commitment it needs to make no matter what in all of this stuff. And that's a hard thing to do. And one of the things that we try to do, value add for people, right? It can take a lot of time. If I'm a self-trained digital marketer, I didn't go to college like you. I'm a high school graduate. I spent a lot of time in the military. And then when I got out, I had to figure out, how does Google Analytics work? And I spent a bunch of time in front of YouTube and a bunch of time doing it. And I had to figure out, how does Google Ads work? And how does Facebook marketing work? And I had to do all that stuff. And I know that the guys who are sitting in the dealership don't have time to do that. I had to do that while I was sitting in the dealership for a lot of time and doing other jobs. So, you know, it's one of those things that there's a barrier to entry, but it's the difference between having somebody who can teach you.
I just, while we were talking, I went on Google and I pulled up automotive SEO, and you guys are #1 organic.
Yeah.
So when you have an SEO company and you are #1 in Google, evidently that means you know how to get there.
And normally the mechanic drives a crappy car, but not here.
Yes, so it's certainly important. And again, SEO is important for long term. You know, we have to be able to think past this month, which can be difficult in a dealership, because the end of the month is always what's coming, and you know, that's when the statement hits, and that's when we know what we're getting paid and all the fun stuff. But we really have to start thinking longer term with some of our investments, and paying attention and asking our vendors the right questions. So one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, ad fraud, pay-per-click fraud. There was just the ad fraud report put out by PPC Protect, was the global PPC click fraud report of 2021. They found that 11% of Google search ads had fraudulent clicks, 36% of display ads, 17% of connected TV.
Fraudulent clicks?
Sure. So the way that the ad marketplace works is there's a lot of people involved, all of whom can get paid per click, right? If we're talking about strict search, paid search, then hopefully you're only showing up on Google and not wasting money on display partners. And there, you know, that's why you see a lower rate, but still over 10% of those ads are clicked fraudulently by a bot, or maybe there's somebody who's trying to run up spend for somebody. It's lower than something like display ads or connected.
So there are bots out there clicking to run up the click spend.
Yeah, and it could be because I want to run out your spend. It could be because I'm running your ads on a website where I get paid every time they're seen or clicked. There's a lot of incentives for fraud. Organized crime actually has a large investment in click fraud and that kind of stuff. You can launder money with it. There's all kinds of horrible stuff. What's funny about it is there's entire organizations who are dedicated to ad fraud. I think the IAFB is one, but I forget what the exact figure is. It's something like $51 million a day in ad fraud happening. I don't know the exact figure, but it's 51 or 52 million. Crazy amount of money, and there's very few people who are talking about it. There's tools in automotive that vendors can partner with that will do things like remove bot IPs, filter VPN IPs, things like that. But again, where is the incentive to do that? Am I going to make the same margin for you if I'm buying 10 tools that protect your data and then spending 20 hours a month looking at your account?
Let me ask Zach a question.
Sure.
Why am I talking to you?
Why are you talking to me?
Yeah, why are we talking?
Zach.
We have a relationship, but other than that, why are you here? I mean, what do you want dealers to do? What is this broadcast about?
We're passionate about dealers getting wise about what it is that they're doing with their marketing. It's easy when you're
why Mickey? Why Wikimotive? Why you?
Well, what we're focused on is the marketing method that lets you own your results. Okay, so if we just talk about search for a second, paid search, PPC, SEM, whatever you want to call it, is like renting a house. You're putting the money in the landlord's pocket. You never own that real estate. You never get to take any money back out of it at the end of the day. You just rented it to stay there for the time being. That's paid search. You pay for a click today, you get that traffic today. It can only do whatever it was able to do today, which doesn't help you that much.
When I was a hippie. Now, I actually, long hair and a beard. Long hair and a beard, I was sitting in California in the Big Sur, and we're talking in the 70s. And I was listening to the Swami Muktananda. honest to goodness. That was a different Ziegler. That was a kinder, gentler Ziegler than you've grown to know. Yeah, absolutely. And I was listening to Swami Muktananda, and he was talking about now. And now is kind of interesting. And I can't do an Indian accent, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I am snapping my fingers now. Didn't I? Now. Then. Now, wasn't it? Now happens this fast. It's then. Oh, no. So that's what Zach's talking about.
That pay-per-click is very much like that. And that's why if you don't have your eye on the ball and you're looking at it, if you were a little bit off course on an SEO campaign, you wrote a bunch of content, it's very easy after to go back. You can adjust that content. Well, we were trying for Ford dealer near me and we're not ranking that well for it. Maybe I need to change some things. Pay-per-click doesn't work like that. You get to show them one ad for a moment in time, and that's your interaction with them. If they click, maybe you can get them back later through retargeting and things like that, CRO, but it's very difficult to do. So if all you're getting is a report at the end of the month from your vendor that says, hey, we spent $5,000 and these campaigns had these clicks, and you never look at, well, what did my ads look like? Or where are you putting these people? What are you intending for them to do? What are they doing when they actually
are they all hitting my homepage?
Right. Which is, again, I saw 97%. My jaw almost dropped. And it's all for terms
97% of customers coming off of Google, no matter who generated the Google.
Off a pay-per-click account, off of one
pay-per-click, no matter who generated the pay-per-click.
Yep.
97% hit the dealer's homepage, and they're not hitting specific pages with a specific intent.
Right. And while a homepage is a good catch-all for a lot of things, and if we have somebody who's high funnel, we do our best to explain to them, here's what we do, and here's how you can easily navigate. Usually, if we're targeting pay-per-click, or one of the advantages of pay-per-click is that we can get a lot more granular in what we're targeting. So we should be targeting a lot lower funnel customers normally. In this environment, you may not have the inventory for it. So that's one of the things that's also a concern, right? A lot of these people are running dynamic new.
Well, if I'm a dealer today, I'm targeting service department.
That is good advice, and that is one of the areas we would recommend. We have a whole process that we go through where we look at where you're ranking for your service Google My Business, where you're showing up for service terms and Search Console, and then we look at, okay,
Google My Business. Why would you want to fool with GMB?
Well, as we often say, Google My Business is basically your second homepage now, right? It's often the first impression that people get, not just when they Google your business, but for many terms. A lot of dealers don't know this because, unfortunately, they're rarely in their Google My Business. We tried to go in there and show our dealers and vendor partners how to use Google My Business. But you can go back in there, and Google recently has shown you, here's the search terms that people are actually using to find you. So you show up, that knowledge panel that's on the right side of search, if you search for your dealer name, can also come up for other things. We see it for our clients. If we have them properly tagged, you can come up for vehicle models. You can come up for service terms. You can come up for Chevy dealer near me, Ford dealer near me. You can come up for a lot of things.
Yeah,
and
just
one of the
to
things,
expand upon that example for a second, you were talking about service, Jim. So if someone is, let's say we've got ABC Motors in Cincinnati, and they sell, let's say, Fords.
ABC Motors. Yeah, I'm familiar with ABC Liquors.
Right.
But, okay.
So let's say, someone in that market searches for ABC Motors because they're already a customer and they know they want a service there. Great. They're going to show up for that with their Google My Business listing. But now let's say someone searches Ford service. They're probably not going to show up with their Google My Business because the Google My Business is just about their brand, right? But that's not the case anymore. We can get a Google My Business listing to show up for something that is brand generic, like Ford service or Ford oil change. That gives that dealer the first bite at the business because their GMB showed up. That means their phone number is there, their appointments link is there, their directions are there. And like Angus said, it's your homepage before your homepage. Sometimes it's the only impression that user will ever get of you. And if you can capture the conversion right then and there before they ever had to go through your website, that's a first opportunity. And it's also now a search that you don't need to go and bid on through paid search because you captured that exposure organically.
I want to go back to the original question I asked you. And that question is, why are we here? Mm-hmm. What does Wikimotive want from the people watching this broadcast? I'm speaking to the bad boys at Wikimotive right now. And why are we doing this? You obviously want their business.
Well, this isn't strictly a business call. We're actually doing a little
bit. Of course it is.
Well, obviously, listen, I come and speak to you no matter what, Jim. We obviously consider you a good friend. We do have a business, a little bit of a proposal, but we're not actually looking to sell anybody anything right now. We're doing kind of a case study on pay-per-click, particularly pay-per-click waste. And I think we've got 15 slots, 16 slots filled up. I think we have nine or 10 slots left where we're going to offer a pay-per-click eval for dealers for free, go through and help them find waste, and then talk to them about how they can either not spend that money. So you're using this to put together statistics to sell somebody else later?
No.
We don't ever share information like that, and that's not
okay. I wanted to get that out there. I knew the answer.
No. We make sure our dealers partners have dealer protection policies. We are very much above board. I spent a long time working for the government doing computer information security, and one thing that we are sticklers about is security, making sure we protect personally identifiable information, and making sure our dealers do that too. That's one of the things we talk about. Some dealers, smart dealers, are using customer match, so you can get a list from your CRM or your DMS, download it, and then you can upload that and run ads against those. Do you have an agreement?
If a dealer wants to be part of this customer evaluation, this ad spend evaluation, what do they do? How do they get in touch with you? What's going on? Uh-oh. Okay, hang on a second. I'm a slow typist. 508
395.
Okay, hang on. High school graduate here. 2326.
Must have been a pretty good high school.
Yeah, what can I say? Text to Wikimotive. Yeah.
Zach with an H at wikimotive.com, or text me at my cell.
Okay, hang on.
Anyone watching, do that, and I'll tell you what we need from you, and we'll set you up with a free audit. The one I did yesterday, for example, I spent 7 hours evaluating their paid search reporting.
Whoa, wait a second. Slow down, big boy.
You pay a lot for that kind of consultation if you have to pay for it.
You are an executive. I know the kind of money you command. Let me tell you something. 7 hours of your time evaluating one dealer for free?
For free. They just got to take the takeaways, go back to their paid
Zero.
search vendor and demand savings. We found about $8,000 a month in savings that they can affect today without
So
hiring
you
them.
save that dealer free $7,000?
$8,000 a month.
$8,000.
They're going to be able to save. Yep.
$8,000, and all they have to do to get that free evaluation with no obligation, they don't have to buy your services.
You just got to spend the time with me.
Text 508-395-2326. They can put their top tech person on with you, the dealer, the general manager, and just get it done.
And you don't have to feel like you have a bad pay-per-click. If you have a pay-per-click campaign that you feel there's nothing I would love more than to log into someone's pay-per-click, see it performing well, and have a vendor I feel comfortable recommending to clients. I have clients ask me all the time, do you have someone that you would recommend for pay-per-click? And there are companies that are better than others, but all of them take a significant portion of time from the dealer, making sure, and not just initially and not on setup, but every month. We have a checklist that we provide dealers if they want it for, here's the kinds of questions you should ask. And you need to take notes during your meeting and make sure things are, did they say that they were going to do something and did they do it? How long did it take for them to do that? If they were supposed to add a campaign, did they add it a week before this meeting or did they add it right after the last one they were supposed to? And I want to be clear. It's not that there's bad people working for these places. Some of them, pay-per-click is very difficult to do at scale. And, automotive marketing is a lot like automotive, right? If I can sell every car on my lot, that's what I want to sell. If I can sell everybody pay-per-click, a lot of people want to sell there. I don't sleep on a bed full of money, but I do sleep at night because I know that the product we offer is the product that we say. And it's been our personal, I got an automotive, it's been, I'm dating myself, about a decade now. And one of the first things that I noticed was the high amount of vendor fraud. And it's what I've pushed since I first met you, Jim. It's what we've talked about every time. It's what I speak about. It's what I, write blog articles about. It's one of my passions because I've seen millions and millions of dollars given away from people. And while it's great, I've been in stores that were making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month and things are good. So we don't need to assess it. But am I making 3 and I should be making 5? Just because things are good, grosses are through the roof. Now's the time while volume is low. Let's fix our processes. Let's look at our pay-per-click now when it could be performing, where this is what's really going to separate the people who can do it well and have the surgical approach and the people who are just kind of, shotgun style or set it, forget it, is when you have these market conditions, do you continue to perform? And a lot of the pay-per-click we've seen hasn't continued to perform. There's been a lot of people diverting to either, I saw one the other day that was a dealer name campaign for used. And you go in there and it's just the dealer's name. There's no affinity categories, trying to shred out used. There's nothing, but they consider that a used car campaign now. And look at that. We got a 46% CTR for your used car campaigns. Well, that's great. But then you paid $3,000 for a click you were going to get anyway, because if you're one of our clients, especially, you're the first 2 positions for your name. You're the first position on Google Map. You own 30% of the SERP for your Google My Business. So, and unfortunately, fortunately for pay-per-click people, but unfortunately for those of us who have to pay for those services, people are lazy. And if I have to click, 3 inches down, they don't do that, or they see that first thing. That's one of the reasons that pay-per-click can be effective, but it's also one of the reasons why it's the most ripe for fraud and why you have to keep dialed in all the time on it to make sure that your vendors are doing the things that they're doing. You have to know enough to look at your own account and say, are there any misconfigurations or simple misconfigurations that I can check? Is my setup not actually complete? What are they counting as conversions for me? And it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but it's something that we have condensed down to. I can show you how you can spend 10 minutes a week or 10 minutes before your actual report with the vendor meeting and ask these questions from an educated perspective to figure that stuff out. There's 29 million screens in the back of Google Ads, but I can show you the 7 you need to know right away to say,
29,000.
There's reports on top of the reports.
Call me and we will show you how to do this. We'll take care of this for you.
Yes. The only thing that you should be doing, set and forget, is set an appointment with us. Forget worrying about it until your appointment, and then we will sit there with you. and you'll feel great after an hour. You'll either feel like, hey, you know what? Maybe my pay-per-click company is doing what it's doing, or it's actually fulfilling the intention that we have for it. Or, maybe you're okay with just sending your co-op money down the road. We're against that. The whole, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. The whole co-op system, Mazda's doing some interesting things with co-op right now. I think maybe we could fix it still, but we need to start. There's a lot of adversity that automotive is going through right now that may be there for a while. We need to start by holding our people accountable, not just in our dealership, but also our vendors, the people that we're spending a significant amount of money with. They don't have a profit incentive to reduce your spend, but you do. And so we want to give you the tools necessary so you can figure out what that looks like, and maybe even shut off pay-per-click for a few months and see what happens. The nice thing is too, is that with pay-per-click, if you do turn it off, or you suggest some adjustments and you are a very unique case, there's sometimes where pay-per-click best practice doesn't necessarily apply. I'm a single point dealer in the middle of Indiana, and my next nearest dealer is very far away. Maybe I don't care about, we tend to tell people, try to focus your ads to run when you're open, particularly if you're looking at lead ads, right? We know that leads we respond to within 10 minutes have a much higher propensity to sell than leads that are 6 hours later, et cetera, et cetera. So does it make sense for me to be running ads at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning? Sometimes it does. Sometimes we go into the data, we go into your CRM, we pull all your sold data, we look at when those leads originated, and
I can't believe you guys are this intricate and this focused on the minutia of what you're doing.
It's a very detailed business, and that's why we're trying to take the approach we're taking, right? I could say like, hey, we'll do this, and for $1,000 a month, you can sit with Angus and he'll help you go through your pay-per-click. I don't want to do that. We're trying to build a educated dealer body that can affect enough change. If there's 1,000 of us screaming, why are we paying for bidding on our name? Or if 5 dealers are educated about pay-per-click at the tier 2 meeting, and they could say, why am I paying money to bid against myself and then paying tier 1 more money to bid against myself? Things like that. That's how we're going to be able to affect meaningful change. So we are trying to build an educated dealer group core. Now, there's a lot of companies who don't want that, because it turns out an educated dealer core, they may not look the best, but there's no shame in our game. So we will show you where all the bodies are buried, how to find out in your Google Analytics and your Google Ads and your Google Search Console and your Google My Business, where maybe you're wasting money with another vendor on something. We have a sister company, Think Better. I primarily do a lot of work with Think Better, where I go into your CRM and I'll tell you, here's what your processes do. I'm not a Bobby Heron or anything like that. I want to be clear, but I can show you from a technical perspective, how it works. I can show you down.
Bobby Heron's something else, isn't she?
She is. Yes. Hopefully, I've been trying to get an appointment with her, but we just haven't been able to.
Really? I'll hook you up. Bobby's one of my very best friends.
Well, I have some really
And
cool
so
reporting I think she'd really like to see.
So I'll get that done.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We will partner with anybody who's
I don't
has a
particularly
good
like
product.
Zach.
What's that?
I don't particularly like Zach.
Yeah,
Hard
he's
to
tough.
like. I get it.
Hey, Zach, I'm kidding you. Really.
He's a tough one. That's why we keep him small over there.
I can make him big.
There we go.
It's like, I feel like I'm on the
spotlight.
like
Something
a
I
Brady
want to
Bunch
highlight
intro.
there is, Jim, you asked why we're here, and what? You asked why we're here. Look, at the end of the day, I hope people sign up with us for SEO, and that's what we do. But I've never told one of our dealers that's not my job when they've got a question. If we don't actually handle that thing for you, well, I'll get on the meeting and I'll show you how to navigate it, how to work your way through it, and if need be, we'll work directly with another vendor to get it done. I hope that we can earn people's business. I hope people give me a call and we can just audit their paid search, save them some money today, and then hopefully sign up for SEO for tomorrow to be more successful. But
all they gotta do is send you a text, right?
Yep, just send me a text. Cell phone's right here. Send the text. It'll ring.
Okay, yeah, and that's Zach Billings, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, if we haven't covered anything, what is it? What have we not talked about?
We have another thing we'll offer you again is we have a whole handout that we can give you that's just some general pay-per-click things to pay attention to. And some, vendor accountability is the message, hopefully, of 2022, rest of 2021, 2022. That's what we want to preach. You're a great advocate for that, Jim, and that's one of the reasons why we love coming on your show, is because you understand how the industry is headed and where it's going. We need to make sure that dealers control all the data that they own. They know who has access to that data. Nobody's selling their data. I mean, there's people who have pixels on your website.
Everybody in the industry. Now, Zach and Angus, I'm going to tell you, everybody in the industry is screaming about transparency, especially the vendors. And some of the vendors, many of the vendors, most of the vendors aren't anywhere near transparent in some of the business practices. And I've been like the voice in the wilderness. I'm the Paul Revere of the car business. I'm riding through the streets yelling, bullshit's coming, and honest to goodness, there's a lot of that happening in the car business. And what I admire about Wikimotive is your absolute transparency. I mean, you will show people exactly. You'll pull back the curtain and show the little man pulling the strings.
For sure. One of the nice things about the difficulty and volume of work that it takes to be good at what we do is I can show you how to do all of it, and then you still have to do it. And that's where the rub is. And that's where, there's a lot of vendors who give amazing talks. So, come out on a show like this and can speak for an hour and know exactly what they're talking about. But when they press, the end button, do they get off and then go do those things? And that's one of the things that we try to be really different about, is that we want to walk the walk. And there's been times where we've done an SEO campaign where I thought that something would have a greater performance, and we're just honest about that. Look, sometimes search in general is anticipating people's needs, figuring out how they're going to do that. And we also have, the big elephant in the room, Google, behind us, who we have to kind of infer what they want and how that all works. So it can be difficult to do. We are prestidigitators in a way. We have a very, very good track record of consistently doing it, but we don't run from if there's an issue. We say, listen, we're not getting the unfortunately, for your market, we're not seeing the results we want of this. So we're going to pivot a little bit. And
is it all pay-per-click? Are you guys doing anything with organic?
We are all organic. Pay-per-click is, yeah. So I want you to pay for something once, and then I want you to be able to benefit that forever, to the point where even if you leave Wikimotive, you would still own the article. Even if you leave your website provider, you can take that.
Let me get the other geek on the screen a second. Okay, the other geek, the Uber geek.
There we go. I got my nickname finally.
There you
Uber
go.
Geek, yeah. Yes. Anyway, as the Uber geek, organic.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were all PPC, right?
No PPC here. We're here to audit it and show you where the waste is. But it's like we were talking about before, and we were just hitting on it now. Rent versus own. We provide a result that you're going to own. You own that position in search, and sure, it can diminish some over time. But the idea is continue to invest in your own store, own those positions for those keywords that people are searching for that mean they want to buy a car today, they want to service a car today, they want to buy parts. Let's get people in for these keywords, but let's not pay every time we want to do it. Let's stand one up and then move on to the next one and then move on to the next one. And so if you fire us, you still are able to attract.
Sometimes I know the answers to the questions I ask. Yeah. Sometimes, I'm like teeing you up, like
the amazing Kreskin.
I'm setting you up to knock it over the fence. Yeah. So
I appreciate it.
The best SEO company, Wikimotive.
Who would have thought? Anyway, this has been a great broadcast. Anything we haven't talked about?
We've got a few announcements that will be coming up soon. I know we're going to be at the Automotive Attribution Summit. Tune into. We still have weekly content, basic marketing content on our Facebook, that kind of stuff. If you want to just drop us, an email and talk to us about something else that's not pay-per-click. Maybe you think your SEO is not doing as good as it could. I'm not sure. We'll help you do any of that kind of stuff. All we ask is that we're not trying to just set you up with like, hey, go blast your pay-per-click company. We're trying to teach you and educate you so you can be an advocate. So we as a dealer body can have a voice against this fraud and all this stuff.
Exactly. Zach, you want to say anything before we sign off?
Yeah, and in addition to doing the paid search audits, like Angus was saying, we'll take a look at your SEO too. That same text phone number, text me, and I have yet to find a GM who didn't show up to the meeting saying we do great on our SEO, and then by the end of it say I'm a little bit humbled to find out just how poorly I'm doing. You walk 2 miles away from the store, and all of a sudden I'm nowhere to be found below my competition. It's amazing how many times that happens, even when you've got an SEO service that you're signed up for. So let us help. And all of the consultation is free. I obviously hope that people sign up with us, but we want to make sure that we're providing an education and that, we're giving people actionable information.
And I have another question. A year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, this content that we're doing right now will still be on the internet. I will still be putting it on my personal platform, which is Ziegler On Demand, which is free. So this broadcast, are we still going to honor the evaluation 2 years from now? I mean, you won't be doing the initial research anymore, but you'll be doing something.
Hopefully 2 years from now, we'll have already fixed this, Jim. But if not, yes, we will.
So
if we aren't able to affect change by then, but yes.
My cell number hasn't changed in 15 years, so it'll still be the same in 2 years or 5. And
so they can text you a year from now or 2 years from now if they catch this broadcast, and because a lot of people are going to be watching this broadcast on Ziegler On Demand.
And all they got to do is just text me, say I saw you with the Alpha Dog, and I'd like an evaluation, and I'll say what for and when would you like to do it.
Okay, fantastic. I just wanted to be sure we had that pretty well covered before I promised it.
And since it's Zach's number, you can text 24/7, and we won't mind.
Okay, well, listen, big guy, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry at all that Tim couldn't be with us. As a matter of fact, we showed demonstratively how much we don't need him.
Tim was here in spirit.
SEO Animal,
and he's off working hard somewhere else.
Was he here in spirit?
Yeah.
Here with spirits, yes, something like that.
I'm a friend of his dad.
We see George all the time.
Yeah,
I knew Tim when he was pooping in his Pampers.
Well, he's grown a little.
Yeah, and he will probably know me when I'm doing it. Okay, guys. This has been a great broadcast. I'm going to say goodbye to the audience.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Got the number on the